It is 7:45. Well, some very big changes coming today in the run for the White House as the Republican candidates are gathering in California for a debate tonight. John McCain's riding high after his big win in the Florida primary yesterday. Mitt Romney came in second, followed by Rudy Giuliani and Mike Huckabee. Now, Giuliani had staked his entire campaign on winning in Florida. He is expected to announce he's pulling out of the race today and throw his support behind McCain. Meanwhile, Democratic candidate John Edwards we've just learned he is also scheduled to announce that he too is dropping out of the race today. Ross?
Thank you, Tori. Time now 7:46. Political analyst Mark Curtis joins us from Orlando, Florida this morning. Mark, good morning.
Good morning, Ross.
We just heard this morning, just announced early morning our time, that John Edwards is going to drop out of the race. I guess that's really no surprise, is it?
Well, I'm a little bit shocked because he said he was going to stay into the bitter end and hold on to his delegates and perhaps be a power broker in this. So the fact that he is dropping out today is a surprise. Giuliani is not a surprise.
What's the benefit to Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton to Edwards dropping out?
Well, the benefit, at least for the Democratic Party, is they won't have a brokered convention. It would be very unusual if they went to Minneapolis without enough votes for a nominee. When you have a three-way race, you have the likelihood of a brokered convention, and that would have allowed Edwards to be a power broker. But now we're going to have a nominee outright, perhaps by the end of February. I don't think we'll have it by the end of Super Tuesday next week.
Well, I guess the big news out of Orlando and actually out of Florida yesterday is John McCain is officially now the front runner for the Republicans.
He sure is, and by virtue of the fact that he won 57 delegates last night, all the delegates, there was no proportion here, it was winner take all, puts McCain well ahead of Mitt Romney in terms of the number of delegates going into Super Tuesday next week. And so we could see a lot of momentum from McCain, especially in California and New York, in terms of getting enough delegates to be the nominee of the Republican Party.
And the important thing to John McCain is this was an entirely a Republican primary. In other words, you couldn't get the independent vote and everything, and he's had problems with conservatives, but he still won yesterday.
I tell you the big reason for that victory. Number one, Florida is a heavily militarized state and with veterans and active military, and that plays very well for McCain. The other thing is the turnout of the senior citizens. The big block there, 44% of senior citizens in Florida went for McCain yesterday, and that was a big reason for his victory.
Talk about the youth vote, the importance of the youth vote in this particular election.
You know, it's interesting because early on in the process, we saw huge turnouts of young voters, people in that 18 to 24 voting block for Barack Obama and for Ron Paul. We didn't see a big turnout of young voters yesterday. Democrats, only 9% of the vote for Democrats came from people age 18 to 24, 7% for the Republicans here. I went to my old school yesterday, the University of Florida, to talk to students about their interest in the election this year. And there seems to be waning interest among the Obama backers and among the Ron Paul backers. If it's starting to appear that their candidates aren't going to make it, it's not a certain deal that those young voters are going to jump to the eventual nominee in the party. So the young people have been voting heavily now. They may not in November if they don't like the candidates.
What else is going to happen today is Rudy Giuliani is going to fall on the sword. He's going to quit this race and throw his support to John McCain. And then Mike Huckabee is going to stay in the race, and that helps McCain as well, doesn't it?
Well, because Huckabee and Romney were splitting the far-right vote, the most conservative voters. Huckabee is also going to be held next week by the fact that Arkansas, Tennessee, and some other southern states, Georgia is voting. So he may do very well in those states. On the other hand, John McCain was 18 percentage points ahead of Giuliani in New York, and I suspect that's why Giuliani dropped out. He didn't want to go into his own backyard and get beat very badly there.
Okay, now we go to Super Tuesday next week. This is what, 22, 23 states having primaries.
Right.
What's going to happen here, like in California and in Colorado and New York, and could a nominee be determined at the end of next Tuesday?
It's possible. I would say it's unlikely. The interesting thing to watch is some of the Republican primaries, like Florida yesterday, winner take all. The guy who gets the most votes gets all the delegates. In California, it's different. For both the Democratic and Republican Party, you have to win each individual congressional district to get the delegates that are pledged for that particular congressional district. So it's possible that if perhaps, Barack Obama and Mitt Romney finish a strong second in California next week, they're going to get a significant number of delegates. Same with New York. But again, the states to watch, particularly some of the southern states like Florida, where at least on the Republican side, the winner gets all the delegates, even if they win by, 3 votes.
I want to tell everybody, Mark, that they can read your blog at markcurtismedia.com or go to KTVU.com and click on web links and see what you've been doing down there in Florida and what your plans are after this. I know you've been covering Super Tuesday. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Ross. Good to see you.
Mark Curtis live in Orlando, Florida. It's 7:51. Let's go back to the desk.